Hey, greetings, friends, and welcome to one of the, I want to say Trenton 365 performing arts videos that we're going to do here. I'm going to be introducing you to, reintroducing you to Eric Capers and also to my new friend, Rob Glick. And we're going to be talking about a project that they came together with to do recently. And I've been sharing it like crazy. It's available on Spotify and some of the other platforms out there and streaming services. But I want to bring on Eric Capers and also Rob Glick. These are two of the members of One Block East. And again, the newest release is To Eden. So gentlemen, first of all, I want to tell you that welcome to whatever I'm calling this, but thank you for putting together some funky jazz inspired music that is very stimulating. I want to say thank you up front. And for those of you who haven't heard any of it yet, make sure you check it out. I'll drop it in the link and everything in there so you can follow it on all the platforms that it's available. First of all, Eric, I want you to go first. I want you to tell me or tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a reintroduction, and then I want you to introduce your buddy Rob. And then after you introduce Rob, I want you two kind of to have this three-way conversation with me about how this project happened, the partners who were involved in it, and hopefully, I got my fingers and my toes crossed that we can get you to come to Central Jersey and perform somewhere in Mercer County or in Trenton specific. So Eric, reintroduce yourself and then hand it off to Rob.
All right. My name's Eric Capers. I'm, lifelong. I grew up right outside of Trenton. I'm kind of a lifelong resident. Now I'm up in the Lambertville area, and I've been a musician for 30 years, pushing 30 years or something like that. I started playing guitar when I was 10, 11, 12. I'm losing track now. But I think one of the genres I've always kind of been into is the funk, and that's I like to play all different types of music, but that is the one genre that I'm always coming back to. And this project that we're here to talk to you about today, and that's pretty much what it's all about.
Awesome.
But as well as the music side of things, I also like to take pictures and spend a lot of time on my bike and just outdoors in general. Any excuse to get outside, even if it's just playing guitar out on the deck at night. When you work a desk job, it's good to get outside. So.
Awesome. And awesome. So I'm going to jump in there and say, folks, again, Eric and I are connected on a few different things, not only the music scene, but also he is a photojournalist and he's got some amazing pictures. He's really into birding and bird watching. And if you are interested in that or you want to get into it, I'm putting you on it to Eric because I'm into it a little bit and I can't wait for us to go on a little hike or whatever so you can teach me some of these techniques and give me a chance to see some of this wonderful wildlife that's right here in the Garden State. Can you pass it over to Rob and introduce how you guys met?
So he's laughing because it's kind of a funny story how this whole project came together. Well, I've known Rob for over a decade, and we both ride bikes. So it's a big part of our whole lifestyle, and that's how we know each other. I've been riding bikes with him for years, and I always kind of knew he was a musician. But I didn't realize how serious of a cat he is. I had no idea until just when we started this project 2 years ago, 2019, and he started sending me some tracks. I was completely blown away. I had no idea this guy that I've known for this long. we share the passion of cycling, and I was a little intimidated at first, but so we know each other. I know Rob knows that, I've played in bands and I'm into the whole funk thing. And he, hopefully I'm telling this right. Well, he started putting this project together with some other cats, Russ, Jim, and Bill. And they were looking for a guitar player. So I guess he gave me a shot. And he sent me some tracks. And like I said a minute ago, I was a bit intimidated by them. I was like, whoa, this is some this is some jazzy stuff right here. So, and again, I was blown away by his skill. A guy that I've known for this long, I didn't know he could play the bass like that.
Wow, wow. I'll
So,
tell you what, one of the things that I love is building community, right? And
yeah.
that is a story that just kind of like is really, it's got me excited over here, man. So now we can have this conversation over music and biking, and then we got to throw some food in there, and then we got a party going on, man. I want you to, man, this is going off into the weeds a little bit, and I apologize, Rob, because this is the first time that we're really talking, right? Especially when we're being recorded. But the dynamic of you two being friends with something that's kind of different. Biking and music goes together. I kind of understand that. But for you guys to do that together for a decade or longer and not know that you two were both that passionate about things, and then to know that, like, Rob, I'm going to put this on you, bro, because you kind of knew Eric what he was doing, but for whatever reason, you didn't assert your background or whatever. Can you just talk about that dynamic of it?
Yeah, so that's a really cool part about this whole thing, because like Eric and I would ride our mountain bikes in the woods a lot. Usually around events, we were involved with a certain circle of friends. It was sort of like a team kind of a thing, and that's how we really knew each other, like he said. And when the funny thing is even knowing him for 10 years, it seems like a long time, but the truth of the matter is all the other guys I've played with for 30, 35 years. So he's the newcomer. 10 years.
Young guy.
And what it really came together was, it really depends upon where you want to jump into the story, because it feels like it's only been a couple of years long, but it feels like in a weird way, it's been like a lifetime, in all honesty. And, but anyway, so yeah, we started, a lot of this material, I composed a lot of it myself in my studio where I actually am now. And really the launch pad, to be quiet, I may have just went off topic too, but the launch pad for this really was when Bill Ware is a world-class musician. I mean, his bio was 6 pages long, and I was like, all right, we got to somehow abbreviate this for the website, and that was a challenge in itself. But I mean, everything from touring with Steely Dan for 3 years back in the days where a lot of people believed that was their greatest jazz ensemble that Steely Dan ever had. Dennis Chambers on drums. I mean, just unbelievable. And he's on their live album too, the Steely Dan live album. But anyway, that's kind of like where this came together. And I'll bring this back around to where Eric came into the whole thing and why this makes sense. But so I'm always doing stuff in my studio, all different forms, even on different styles of music and everything like that. And it was Bill's wife, Dana, who actually introduced us. And we also knew each other for a long time, but yet I never really connected for some crazy reason that her husband, Bill Ware, was the Bill Ware. I just never really quite got that. And it took me a couple of years to get that. And so when I finally realized that, I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I need to get together with this guy. And at the time, he literally lived about a mile from my house, which was just bizarre. So he came over to my studio, and I played him just a few rough things that I had more or less just played everything and programmed and stuff like that myself. And after he heard like a few things, he was just like, well, what are you doing with this music? And I said, well, kind of like what I do with a lot of other music. It just sort of sits there and never really does anything. And he said, well, I'll help you do this. And that was really all I really needed, was for him to say that he would get involved. So I immediately called Jimmy, who I've played with in bands since we're like 20 years old. I'm not going to, that's like 35 years or something ago. Russ and Jimmy and I have played as a bass and a drummer, rhythm section. We've played in a lot of different things. In fact, he got me involved in the first sort of jazzy fusion thing that I ever played in, that I actually didn't think I was qualified for the gig. Because at that time I was just doing like a lot of rock, funk, blues, singer-songwriter kind of stuff. And he was like, no, trust me, just come down and play, man. You just bring your feel. That's all you got to bring. Just bring your feel. And I ended up getting that gig. We put an album out. It was a really, really nice project. That was a long time ago, like 20, 25 years ago, I guess. And then the thing started to really blossom. And so Jimmy started playing remotely on these tracks, which is basically how a lot of recording gets done these days. One thing I'm very proud about this project is that the feedback I've gotten from so many people is like, this was done like that, because I realize a lot of recording is done that way now. But there's something about, there's like a live element and a very spontaneous thing that happens in some of the sections that do not sound like, okay, this guy recorded his parts from beginning to end. That guy he did. There was a lot of sort of like massaging it like clay, I guess you could almost say, like in the studio here, to sort of make it feel like that the guys really were playing together and feeding off of each other. R.E.A.C.H did an amazing job in a couple of sections in particular that right off the top of my head, where he heard maybe Russ primarily plays sax on the album, but there's a tune that he plays flute on. And when R.E.A.C.H went to go cut his tracks, he was sort of like hearing some of the flute parts and mimicking some of that stuff on the guitar. And it gave this feeling that, wow, it really sounds like five guys playing in a room. And that really doesn't happen as often. I know it happens more in jazz than probably any other genre, frankly, these days. But in even these kind of albums aren't usually really made that way. And that element of people really listening to other people's parts and then feeding off of that and maybe recutting their own parts and sections and stuff is what I think really brings the essence of this thing together. And it doesn't sound like just five guys playing down charts that somebody wrote some music. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of, you probably noticed, there's a lot of like sort of spacey parts that almost feels like, you know, we're not to a click, we're not to a grid. And that's what made it come alive. So that was the really long way to get around to saying how R.E.A.C.H got involved. So most of these tracks were actually put together. I'd say about half of the album was sort of put together already, and we didn't have a guitar player. And between all of us, we knew other people, and I tried a couple of things, and I actually thought it was going to be fairly simple to find somebody to play on this stuff. And every person that I sort of gave a shot at to, hey, try this tune, it was like, wow, in the first 3 seconds of listening back, I said, this is not the right thing. It's just not the right thing. And I had almost kind of resigned myself at that point, saying to Russ, man, I don't know if we're going to find a guitar player. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. And he said, no, we really got to have a guitar player. So that's when I had seen one of R.E.A.C.H.'s videos. He does these great YouTube videos.
Hold on,
And
stop.
one of it-
Rob,
and-
I'm going to stop
Yeah.
you right there, Eric.
I'm going too long, huh?
No, it's not that at all. I want to blow Eric up because that's what got me to him too.
Yeah.
His feed came across. I'm like, damn, that's pretty nice. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, whoa. And then he incorporated the other instruments. I'm like, oh no, I got to reach out to this dude. And
Yeah.
now I'm connected to you. But hey, keep on going, Rob.
Yeah, no, so I tend to ramble, so I'm going to try not to ramble too much. But essentially, that's where we came to this point where I had seen one of his videos where it was kind of like a funky, he does a lot of very cool bluegrass country stuff too, which I also love. That I love all styles of music. But when I had heard this particular thing, I said, "Ooh, he might be the right guy for this thing." And I remember the very first conversation we had, well, I kind of screwed that up because I sent you probably one of the more difficult, whacked out tracks that was in a weird timing. And you were like, I don't know if I'm the right guy for this gig. And I was like, I knew he was the right guy for the gig. He's talking himself out of the gig. And I'm like, all right, wait, forget what I sent you. I'm sending you something else. And I think I sent you another tune. And I was like, that was much further down your lane, I guess you would say. And you were like, oh, okay, I think I know what you're going for. But then you had asked me some very specific questions. You said, like, there's a million different ways I could play guitar on this. And I don't know what popped into my head, but for some reason I said, how about something like the way Larry Carlton played in Steely Dan? And you were like, that's like my favorite kind of guitar playing from my favorite kind of guitar player. And I said, okay, so just do that. And that's more or less. And he sent me back a track and it was like, perfect. I said, all right, so we're on to something here.
That's the second time I heard that story from two different perspectives, and it was like 1-to-1. That's almost exactly what Eric had said.
That's so funny.
Man, look, well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to cut this short because you got me fired up now, and I go into this mode. But I do want to sit down and see if we can coordinate having another conversation, build this out a little bit. Because I mean, I'm following you guys on Spotify. I'm sharing the music. I'm really feeling it. I think it's important for us to recognize the artistic talent. that's in the area, and it's you and the networks that you're a part of, etc. And let's get back to making music and art, and get away from some of this nonsense that has gotten us acting like fools. In closing out, Rob Glick, Eric Chambers, One Block East, 2 Eden. It's available on Spotify, I know, all the streaming services, etc. Rob, you first, closing out. Last words you want to say to some of the folks who are going to be seeing this.
Wow. Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for the incredible response that we've gotten, really just like from the first week it got released, man. I got to tell you something. It was just overwhelming, the amount of people that just said, wow, I don't even know exactly what this music is, because maybe they're not jazz fans. And I made a joke with somebody recently. I said, yeah, maybe we're sort of like the intro drug to jazz, because it's not really hardcore jazz music, although there's certainly some elements in here that are definitely go that route. But there's a little bit of sort of everything. And it's, so the response that we've been getting has been just incredible. And like you said about playing live, I was really, and I wonder if this has something to do with what I mentioned earlier about how the album really does has a very live performance kind of sound to it. And that I had a lot of people instantly just say, when are you guys playing live? And I thought, and maybe it had something to do with Eric's video that he posted or something, where he had like a side-by-side of us doing something. But so many people right away wanted to know, where are you gigging? Where are you playing? So, so we are going to definitely start working on some stuff. And I would love to think that we can have towards the end of the winter, do like a big album release type of party, performance concert kind of thing. And yeah, as far as connecting with local community, listen, my kids both learned music education through a really great local community program. I am so much of a believer in all of that. And I don't want to brag about my kids being brilliant, but I'm convinced that it had something to do with them learning music at a very early age, learning how to read music, everything about it. It just makes you a more complete, smarter human being as far as I'm concerned. And so any way that we could connect with that and help communities by playing, sharing the stage with other people that we respect and want to, get interested in their music, I'm all about that for sure.
Fantastic. Eric, your turn.
Well, it like Rob said, it's not jazz. It's but it definitely has a jazz element. So if you're into funky stuff and bopping your head with some saxophone, like icing on the cake, check it out. That's really all I got to say.
Oh, fantastic. Eric Capers, Rob Glick, One Block East, 2 Eden. You guys, you got a huge fan here. And let me know anything I can do to support what's going on with you individually and as a group. This is fire. I can't wait to share it with more people. Blessings to you both. I can't wait to share this out in our networks. All right, guys?
Thanks.
So great. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, you're welcome. And there you have it, folks. Just another opportunity to meet some of the fantastic human beings that are in my life. New friends, long-term friends, soon to be long-term friends, whatever you want to call it. One Block East, 2 Eden. Make sure you check it out. Jacque Howard here in closing. Remember, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.